Okay, it's 9 o'clock, so we're going to start the meeting. Invocation by Henry, followed by the flag salute.
Father in heaven, we want to start by thanking you so much for your protection from this inclement weather that has been devastating the country around us. Lord, I pray you continue to protect us from that. And may we all take time out to say a prayer for our countrymen whose lives have been turned upside down or destroyed by these weather events. We can take comfort, Lord, in knowing that whatever happens, you're with us and you're in charge. And Lord, today when our commissioners take up the business at hand, grant them wisdom in your guidance in the decisions they make. Lord, I offer this prayer in the name of your Son and our Savior, our Lord Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, payday.
Okay. We have the sales tax. Sales tax is $55,389.90.
I think that's pretty interesting. It's kind of dropped back to where it's more consistent the way it was before. You know, we had a big bump there last year just during the construction period, but now it's back to pretty much normal.
Mhm. We had a lot of extra people here during that construction
Yeah,
period.
exactly.
So. Okay, and then you have your monthly fund summary report. The payday figure is $1,011,993.12.
You might not know, but this, that Omni billing, is that the final?
Hopefully. We've been paying that all along, so,
Well, that contract ran until
May.
May.
there may be one more. It's either the last one or the next to the last, depending on the timing of that. Here's the payroll board and the mileage and such.
I noticed on the rent that we paid to St. Luke for the health department, it also shows rent for WIC.
Well, they split the rent between the health department and WIC. She pays it. for
But is it a total of 1,200?
It-
Is it 1,200 plus the WIC?
mm,
Because the WIC was like 275.
Well, what is the health, what page are you on?
I haven't found it yet.
Okay, that's
I
okay.
had it there last night. I didn't write down the
That's okay.
page
It's
number.
easy to find. It's Fund 130 for health department, so. It's probably total
Yeah,
of 1,200, but I can't remember
Yeah,
offhand.
WIC rent for June, 275.61,
Okay.
and then St. Luke,
Yeah, so actually it's 1299.52 plus the 262.
has that been that way all along?
Mm-hmm. We paid a lot of money in rent over the last year,
I know we
year and a
have.
half, 2 years. I think it's close, I don't want to say.
Why does that?
Seems
have-
like it's close to $100,000.
Does that have to be split out that way?
She does that because she can pay a portion of it through her
Oh,
WIC.
okay.
She does that for tracking purposes.
Okay.
So we pay the total amount, but she pays it out of 2 different funds.
Okay,
Yeah.
that explains that. Any other questions in regards to payday?
Just for what questions you was talking about, Kent, I'm not in favor of long-term doing what you're talking about there. I think at some time, a building needs to be looked at somewhere. I mean, it's just money out the door.
I know.
And I'm not in favor of it, but
Well, we're going on, what, 2 years?
yeah,
St.
somewhere
Luke?
about 2 years probably.
And we're going on 2 years of planning and zoning.
Yeah, it's, somewhere I think this commission, we get maybe this transfer station under control and see where we're at, why we need to look ahead for the future of Marion County's both health and services, storage, the whole thing. There's a whole lot of things we're paying storage over at Hillsborough.
Right.
For, yeah, 911 equipment and stuff like that, so I just think this county needs to put a plan together for to sort of address some of it, so. That's all I have to say on that.
Yes, I mean,
Tina said the total payroll was $1 million and something. Is that for a month?
that's the total.
This
Total,
month, yeah.
total expenditures for the month.
Total expenditures.
Total expenditures, that's not just salaries, no.
How many employees does the county have approximately?
100,
We have about 112 full-time, about, generally speaking, I haven't looked at it recently, but about 30 part-time or seasonal, and then our EMS volunteers.
The
So-
average citizen, that kind of money sounds fantastic.
And that payroll number includes not just salaries, but also
benefits.
all the benefits, including CAPER, Social Security, all those things we have to pay, unemployment.
But it's just
Insurance.
amazing when you know about these things to realize how much money
Yeah.
comes and goes in county government.
If you give that to her, they go, that shows you what we pay for them.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I guess do we need to make a motion to approve the monthly fund summary?
You don't typically, you just
Okay,
sign,
you
you
just
sign all the.
I've signed mine.
Yeah, you just do that through signature.
Real dime.
Thank you.
Henry, you need these? You want these things to look that a little tighter? I'm talking to you, Henry.
I can,
Okay.
It's just blowing his mind is all it's doing.
what little's there is getting an educated.
Yeah.
But thank you for the gesture.
I know I need them.
You know, on our Don and Vista CUP servicing, is that, how long does that go on? Is it-
Well, until we're through. I think right now it's basically following up on the road issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
But doesn't I think the CEP continues on as long as the project goes on, because you can.
Right, I think what you're
Right.
asking
No, I'm
though
just
is
talking
about the attorney.
the servicing of the CUP.
So here on this payroll register of approval, I see here's some people went on training and they only have one receipt for meals. Are we paying the entire invoice then? We have only one receipt?
Yeah. This person is no longer with the county. That person is no longer with the county. The sheriff approved that without the receipts because we don't have access to them. So. That's an unusual situation. We know the training was legitimate. We just don't have a way to follow up with that employee to get that. And so the sheriff approved that way.
I kind of think we need to actually have a firm policy on that. Personally, I think it's fine. Like you said, you know, we understand that the training was legitimate,
Mhm.
okay? But I do know some circumstances where we also knew that the training was legitimate and the payment was denied.
Right,
So-
we always get a receipt. That's our policy.
But you're
this
telling me
is a-
that in this case we didn't.
That's correct, because we don't have a way to do that on this. So I had to take the sheriff's word that those are reimbursable
Legitimate.
expenses. And like I said, this has not happened in the past. It's an unusual situation, so. I mean, if you'd like me to have the sheriff come over and you can talk to him about it, I'd be
No.
happy to do that.
I'm not, I'm just saying, I think it's fine that he
Okay.
did that. I'm not
Okay.
disputing that he did that.
Mhm.
I'm saying that I think most of your departments, all of your departments, when you know that the training was legitimate
Mhm.
and somebody gets a receipt or an incomplete receipt or fails to get a receipt or whatever, I don't think we should hassle them, I think we should pay it.
Oh, so you think we should loosen the policy, not tighten it?
I think we should be consistent with the policy.
We are consistent with the policy. We always require a receipt, a detailed itemized receipt. This is one instance where that's not possible, and so we had to take a different route. So I'm more than happy if the board would like to discuss changes to that policy. We're just following it the way it is currently. So if you're thinking it should be loosened up, I mean, I have no issue regardless. We're just trying to follow the rules as they are today, so.
I don't think we should pay unless we're paying off a receipt.
That's the recommendation of the audit, the auditors from the past,
Right.
And that's one of the main ways that people can defraud an entity is by just turning in
Yeah.
without proper documentation. So we try to really be thorough in following up on those things.
Well, I understand what you're saying, and I'll use myself as the example, okay? So you have, and this just caught my attention because of a little flyer on there. But I was at a training, and I can't remember if it was in Topeka. It was in Topeka, and it was one of the trainings that I went to. And I got a meal because the training didn't provide it, and I brought back a receipt. But the receipt did not say what I ate. It was just a receipt at the restaurant for a meal. And of course, it was denied being paid because it didn't itemize what I ate, which I thought was a bit ridiculous. But it's okay, I went ahead and reimbursed the county. I think it was $18 or something like that for the meal, whatever it was. So, I don't know, I just think sometimes common sense goes a long way.
Well, the
But
reason,
it doesn't matter.
the reason we do that, and it's always been ever since we've had these cards, that was the policy implemented at the beginning when we first got the purchasing cards, and it has not changed. And you can ask people in the other departments, we have denied they have had to pay too. And the reason is certain things aren't allowed to be charged, and so we have to be sure that what that total receipt is doesn't include things like alcohol or, things that shouldn't be on there. And that's the reason I think that the board, back when we got those purchasing cards, implemented it in that manner, and that's the way that it's been carried forward. So people know that they have to turn in the itemized, so. Again, if the board decides they want to change that or go to a per diem policy, it would be a lot less work for us than to try to hassle everyone for their receipts and itemized receipts.
You could also do like a scan, I mean, that's what we did.
Yeah, but like you said, the potential for some wrongdoing.
Right, I
Goes
mean,
up
that's the reason
exponentially.
for it. So.
Well, I just think we should be, I'd like to look at the policy at least ways. I think we should at least review it. I think we should review all the policies, When they say we've always done it that way, 20 years, 30 years,
We've had
things
these
change.
cards for maybe 10 years.
Okay.
At
I
the
just think it's
most.
good policy to review policies. I do know that our employee handbook is a dinosaur, and I do know a lot of our policies are so obsolete, and I just think it's a good idea as a board. We need to review and bring things up to today's world and be consistent.
Maybe we could start looking at like one policy a month or something. That,
I think that would take forever and a day. I think that, actually, I have on some of my other boards and things that they do things like that. They do update policies. And I was gonna suggest to Brad, perhaps maybe if I get permission or something to bring their employee handbook and give it to Brad and let him just go through it and pick out where we differ and how we could bring up things that he thought was wise or whatever, and maybe kill several birds with several different policies in that book at once. And then what other ones that we need to address, we can individually address. I mean, I'm just thinking of a way of expediting. I'm just using that one as an example because I just went through that with one of my boards, updated the handbook, and it's awesome. Addressing things that happen today, in today's world all the time that we take for granted, we don't even think about it.
We just-
Until all of a sudden, it's,
We took the, what's her name? I just attended the meeting last month down there to Augusta.
oh,
Mid-Cab.
yes,
But, what's her,
yes.
Joyce?
yes.
Yeah, she went through the policies and changed things, and we did a board approval
Mhm.
on some of the things that she took out and put in, and stuff like
Mhm.
that, so
Mhm.
it'd be the same, to me, I felt like it was the same as if I put Tina in charge and brought some things in and stuff like that to us, and that's the way it's been. And we just board approved it then, whether you like it or don't like it, so.
Mhm. I mean, I think it's something we really need to be, and that's actually our job, is to make policy and set policy and keep things up to date. But anyway, I just thought I would like to mention that to Brad, see what he thinks. Or
you might be able to start the process on
Mhm.
at least getting started.
So,
Okay, anyone have anything else in regards to payday? Okay, and we'll move on to the transfer station budget review. Bud here?
No,
Oh,
but
is
you told him he
Okay.
didn't need to be here for
Okay,
that.
you do have that, the transfer station budget in front of you. And we were talking the other day about the lease purchase, whether to go ahead with the lease purchase or pay it out of transfer station funds.
So the last 3 pages of your packet that you had were actually the budget report for the transfer station. I think it's a little bit hard to read. So this morning I just did a mid-year financial statement for you. That's a little bit easier. So I handed that to you or put it under your agenda this morning. Do you need a copy? Can you not find yours?
I think, no, I had one here. I was looking at all these things here.
And what have we paid out so far towards the building this year, this year?
That is the, see where it says new transfer station?
Yeah,
Right.
173,753.
that's what we spent,
That's
okay.
including engineering, building, or, the contractor.
Right. Okay. So if we did go ahead, the budget's 500,000.
Yes.
So if we did spend up to 500,000, we'd still come out supposedly at the end of the year, you should come up with 1,066,000. Is that where it should be? Or-
No.
No?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're looking at the budget column, yes.
Yeah.
So currently, we're 212,000, almost 213,000 short on revenue. We did increase the solid waste fee. We do have two more distributions. One will be in June and one in September.
Okay.
So, to keep in mind, we don't have that money available right now. But by the end of the year, we expect to receive.
Yeah, because if you back that $500,000 out for the budget on the transfer station, I mean, that's only giving you only got a 100,000. So,
Generally, we haven't typically done lease purchases on smaller amounts like this. We usually do it when it's upwards of 80 or
Yeah.
up. We have, or 100,000, but doesn't mean we can't. And something to also consider that moving forward, when you're ready to approve a building project, it's likely that our only potential funding source for that will be a lease
Right.
purchase, because we don't have the option for sales tax. You would have to do an election for a bond, so.
so you're gonna end up with some pretty hefty payments, because I don't think most institutions are gonna want to do more than a 5-year lease purchase. Maybe, but because we'd have to get a feel for it.
The one we was on was a 10-year deal that we paid off the transfer station.
But that was not
That
a
was a lease
lease.
purchase.
No, it was lease purchase, no.
No, that's what I mean, lease purchases normally are shorter term instruments.
Yeah, yeah.
I still like the idea of, like what Bud suggested, is just pay for it. It's $30,000, like Tina said, it's not anything. And we do need to save that option for the bigger fight later. So I personally think it's better to just pay for it, since he has the money, and just pay for it. Would be my suggestion.
At the end of the year, cash in hand, what do you expect, Tina, just from looking at your figures here, what do you expect? Should that 1 million be cash in hand at the end of the year, if all the revenue comes in?
The way that Scott prepared the budget for 2019, he kept 76,000 in the budget for cash carryover, which is not on this sheet. We have been building in this fund because we knew that we needed to do a project. And so you'll see that at the beginning of the year, we had 766,000, which is less than what we have had at the last couple of years in that fund. But we did have, that 102 that was spent last year. Part of that was through VG Consultants for engineering, and that we didn't use. And then part of it was Call Valley Engineering. So that was all like engineering and other kind of related fees. So, but we might be a lot less at the end of the year for cash carryover. So maybe 80,000. If you utilize the
That was the
building
only
funds.
reason why I was looking at just putting it out on lease purchase, just to keep the cash flow. Now, like I said, this is not a make or break deal on 31,000. Going forward, we need to try to maintain adequate cash reserves. We don't know the future.
Well, we've sat here, and of course, we had 100 and some thousand payment every year for the, up until 2012 or 13.
And that was paid from the bond and interest fund at that time. It was for the transfer station, but we had a special fund called bond and interest.
Yeah.
And because it was financed through bonds. We are now under a tax lid.
Right.
And so
That
debt
limits
from a
us on
bond
doing that.
is,
Yeah.
you know, we can't raise taxes, you know, that's under the tax lid, so we don't have an exception for that. So we could potentially do that, but we would have to make sure that overall the taxes aren't raising more than
Right.
what's allowed
Right.
under
What I
that
was
tax.
getting at though is we always had cash extra in hand in case we had a problem, roof, not collapse, but it had to be completely redone once. And $60,000-$70,000 bill on a roof or something like that come in, we always had plenty of cash to operate under. And so that's why I don't want to personally cut us down under too much, under 100,000 to set back there
Well,
too.
yeah, because we're still gonna be operating an old transfer station for the next year.
Yeah,
So we don't know if something might
right.
cost us exponential dollars. You know,
So come-
that 30,000 we may need.
Come budget time, if we had after we get this other building, the new building under control and set down the road, then we could budget in some more money if we wanted to finish paying that off or something. I mean, would that be? would
The
that still
transfer
be-
station fund itself is not subsidized by ad valorem tax. It is solely funded through the solid waste assessment fee.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could, that would be a good question for Scott when he's here, whether you'd want to try to look at building money in another fund for that, for building, or if you look at raising the fees again, you know,
Which we
but,
just did.
right.
Yeah.
Which way you wanna go?
Bottom line I see is I just want some money back here in case we have a rainy day. That's all I really, you know, if we pay it off and cut ourselves short and we have a rainy day, well, I guess you could take money out of the general.
Yes,
You
you
good?
can always pay for expenses out of the general fund, as long as there's money in the general fund.
Right. What's the interest, did you roughly say on that deal, total interest was 3,000, is that what you looked at the other day, Diane, is that what
It
you
was 3 or
said?
4,000,
Yeah, it
depending
was-
which one we went with.
Rate was 343, I believe.
343.
Total interest was $2,000.
No, 3,000.
3,000.
And that was just a flat way of calculating it.
But we have to remember that this is supposed to be an income generating asset.
It's supposed to pay for itself, and the transfer station, actually, we charge the wages and everything to the transfer station. So they pay their wages, their benefits, everything out of that solid waste.
Correct.
Let's see. Yeah, the interest at 3.43, based on these 3 payments, is $2,215.43.
I'd just assume we took bids and I'd just assume go the bids myself and have some money back in the background, so till we get everything going. I'd just go ahead with the loan. So that's the way I feel.
So you wanna make a motion to approve the lease purchase?
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve the lease purchase. That was with
Marion National.
Marion National Bank, that rate was given.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the bid with Marion National, rate of 343 on our tire cutting machines. I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, county engineer discussion.
Before we go there, I'd like to read to you on the power poles down there. After I told you that I hadn't gotten back, oh, come on. Here's what Roger sent to me, and he sent this to this guy that he's working with for City of Marion. I need to get a spitball estimate on what a distribution line of relocation of approximately 525 feet would cost to allow for improved design of the transfer station. Please see attached diagram. And he sent an attached diagram of the building and the lines down there. His answer he just sent to me this morning, and Roger, I talked with Larry yesterday regarding some pricing. These poles carry 3 different distribution circuits, so he just suggested that going underground would be cheapest and the shortest route. Also, with all the turns that are required for the overhead, there will be a significant amount of down guys required on poles, which would not be good with all traffic the transfer station has. He gave me some pricing that should be close to what a contractor would charge, and I refigured my pricing for underground materials. The underground materials are a bit more expensive, but the labor involved is cheaper depending on the unknown and what lies underground, rock, concrete, etc. Without a contractor actually coming to look at the project and give a real-time estimate, these numbers are rough numbers as to what they come up with. Underground, 20,000, overhead, 27,000. After I read this morning, I think it's money spent, but just what they suggested, the traffic and the things that we have with overhead wires around down there, that underground might be the way to go.
Eliminate a lot of potential problems.
It would completely get it out of the way. I would suppose, haven't caught Roger on the street there this morning, and he was busy, and I don't know what he feels about it personally, but I would, if at all, myself, I think it's money well spent, even if it's up to
So
25,000.
did you say 20,000 on just the materials for underground?
This is a spitball figure, yes.
Total? Is that
Yeah,
labor and materials or just
I think
materials?
I think it's total.
Okay,
I think total, and overhead's 27,000.
okay.
So this without a contractor actually coming to look at the project and give real-time estimate, these numbers are rough numbers as to what we can come up with. So that's coming from Roger and the guy that he works with. I personally like to move forward and think that would be a good project, both if we can just get with our engineers and say, we want to go underground, where is this out of the way at? We want to move it out of the way of the project. We want to keep it completely away from the project. And so with the board's approval to pursue that, I will talk to Bud and see if we can get a hold of our engineers and see if they have any problem with what this is right here, if that's
I have no problem with that.
okay.
I think it's a good idea to get it underground and get it away from old traffic,
Yeah.
trucks.
Okay. Thank you, board. Appreciate it. I'll get with Bud, and we'll get with the engineer, and then we'll get with Roger and see if, and whoever this is, and see if we can work with. I don't have no problem with Roger wants to help us with this.
I have no problem.
It'd
Okay.
be nice if they could do some
Okay.
sharing.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything else before we move on?
No, not on that.
Okay, county engineer discussion. I think we'll need to go into executive session on this matter.
What time, is Brad not gonna be here until 10:30?
He texted me a little bit ago and said he's on his way, so it'll probably be closer to 10 when he gets here.
I don't know if he's received this one.
Oh, is this a new one?
Well, I got it at 8:53, so I don't know.
I think it's the same one I got.
Okay.
I'll check it. If it's not, I'll bring it.
Okay.
I don't know, does the commission want to wait on Brad? Or we just go ahead and move forward?
I like the idea of waiting on Brad, but whatever you wanna do, doesn't matter to me.
We would finalize, I mean, we're probably ready to finalize everything unless Bryce has some problems or something anyway, so.
Well, I have no problem waiting for him to show up.
Okay.
so.
And we could probably just finalize the whole thing and go into that, so I have no problems either with waiting until Brad's here.
Okay, well,
Either way.
we're gonna have to wait for our next agenda item also, so.
Right.
I guess we'll go ahead and recess until 10 o'clock. Or when Brad gets here.
Well, do you want to maybe recess for 15 minutes and then see if,
Okay, we can recess for 15
That
minutes, see
way,
if he shows.
Sounds like,
Okay. Take a coffee break, everyone. Eat some more cookies. Morning, Brad. Good morning.
good morning.
Just in time. We're about to have our second cup of coffee.
Oh, okay.
Discussion be eaten, right? Didn't feel bad anyway.
She also has grandparents on that.
Like maybe one quick drink.
Well, that's part of the signature. That really should be
It's just,
practice there.
it actually did. It's changed a lot over the years. The first ones, I look back at old documents, and look anything like this one.
It's not like there's a shortage of money.
Yeah, I know, that's bad.
Now, did you read that before you saw it?
Yeah, because it just has your names on it, so.
He knows we can.
The Western egg white, but they do the egg white, and they always have.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock, so we're gonna resume back into session.
Not sure that's not healthy.
This time on our agenda, we have the county engineer discussion. And I'm gonna move that we go into recess into executive session in order to discuss item number 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel, in order to discuss county engineer contract negotiation. That will be with the commission, Brad and Bryce Goebel, for a period of, I don't know,
15, 20.
20 minutes. Okay, we'll executive session for 20 minutes until 10:20, and then we'll resume back into open session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No, we'll see.
And then the bottom of that, it said.
Don't know yet. Don't know yet.
6 month period.
Are we on?
yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Out of executive session, no action taken. And I'm gonna move that we move in recess into executive session in order to discussion, number 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel, in order to discuss, county engineer contract negotiation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B with the commission, Brad and Bryce Goebel, until, let's say, 10:45.
Second.
So you have 23 minutes?
So it'd be 20, a little over 20 minutes, be 20 minutes. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Yes, sir.
Okay, out of executive session, no action taken. At this point, I'm gonna move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss consultation with our attorney-client privilege, item number 2, in order to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to KSA 75-4319B with the commission and Brad Jantz for 10 minutes.
Why don't you make it till 11, 15 minutes?
Okay, 15 minutes until 11 o'clock, then we will resume back into regular session.
Second.
Moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, out of executive session, no action taken. With that, I move we recess into executive session in order to discuss number 1, personnel matters and non-elected personnel in order to, for negotiations with county engineer contract. Excuse me. Pursuant to KSA 75-4319B with commission, Brad and Bryce Goebel.
is Randy gonna join you then in recession? Oh, he's over there. There you are, I thought you left. Okay, hold on,
Until
sorry.
11:20?
Yeah.
Until 11:20, then we will resume back in open session.
Second.
Moved second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Guard.
Hardly ever happens.
But you still, have to- if you're making any motions, I think you still have to wait until 11:20.
Right, yeah.
It's time for coffee.
pretty black from here.
Sound better.
Did you see that?
I don't know that I have. Morning, Joel. How are you today?
Morning.
Get you by for 30 days.
I'm very good.
I'll break out over
Yeah, I guess the number wouldn't match up with.
We'll introduce you, yes.
So that's good.
You get pulled over.
You still have 2 minutes, so. Get Becker.
Andrew.
Diane Rivera.
Diane, Andrew Holder.
Nice to meet you, Andrew.
It's fairly strong.
Next door. Just look at a library. The Horde of War.
Long trip this morning.
Oh, about an hour, 45 minutes or so. Not too bad. I'm out of Lawrence, so it's pretty dry though.
From Lawrence?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Rolling
You
hills.
didn't blow
Yeah.
away? You didn't blow away?
No, I managed to stay all right. I was certainly kind of a little off guard though.
Yeah.
Ooh, pretty scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heard about you.
She's got this one.
There's
This little red light.
Oh, I can't do it.
Okay, out of executive session, no action taken. Okay, our next item on the agenda is attorney-client business. And so I will move that we go into executive session in order to discuss item number 2, consultation with attorney-client privilege in order to discuss county litigation with commissioners Brad Jantz and Andrew Holder. How long do you think you'd like to have?
I would say maybe 15 minutes out of it should probably be
Okay.
sufficient.
Until, we will recess from executive session until 11:35. We'll resume back into.
I was gonna say I was gonna have Sharon sit in with us too. If
Okay, I'll read.
What, is that necessary?
Well, if y'all are opposed to it, that would be all right with me too. Sharon is, in terms of the things that are actually going on, the prospective stuff in the future, she's certainly the expert on that as opposed to me, so that's.
Okay, I'll reword my motion to include Brad Jantz, Andrew Holder, and Sharon Olmstead in the commission.
Second.
Okay, and moved in second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, out of executive session, no action taken. I'll move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss item number 2, consultation with attorney-client privilege in order to discuss county litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B with the commission, Brad Jantz and Andrew Holder and Sharon Olmstead until, why don't we say 11:50? And then we'll resume back to open session.
Second.
Moved in second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's Friday.
Yeah, good minute. Okay, out of executive session, no action taken. That was our final agenda item for today, so I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Moved second, all in
We're
favor?
not gonna do public comment, with
No.
that's not on there?
No, I'll take it.
Oh, that's right, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
But do you have a minute or two for some
Mhm.
of my questions
Mhm.
for you? Okay.